Welcome, my name is Ted Whitten. I clearly need your help in reaching others. Your civil liberties are in jeopardy. Others need to know. Tell them. Watch to the end and share with your friends as if your life and freedom depends on it, because it may. It was demonstrated in Florida criminal court that Deputy Zachary Westr of Jackson County Sheriff Department in Marianna, Florida, was found guilty at trial of planting drugs in the cars of citizens at numerous traffic stops. Westr used the unconstitutional technique of proactive patrolling to initiate a search following a stop for a fabricated cause in the Teresa Odom stop. The taillight Westr claimed was faulty worked fine. The cause for the stop did not properly exist. The escalation for the search was without reason. The corrupt officer used proactive patrolling techniques to unlawfully access the personal property to commit a crime. This unconstitutional police technique is often used to strip persons of their personal property rights and is often in violation of the U.S. Constitution Fourth Amendment rights for search and seizure. Westr's violation of constitutional rights facilitated crimes by law enforcement and the judiciary that continue to unfold. I find reason to believe this racketeering scheme and cover-up extend all the way to and through the federal judiciary. The federal judiciary and court system is corrupt beyond measure, as you may soon see. The news media to this point has missed the biggest crime of all. Those who partner with Western have dodged responsibility, yet common sense would tell you there is no way he operated alone. In this series of open mic interviews, we reveal accomplices and accomplice angles to include judges, prosecutors, defenders, attorneys, and others involved in racketeering and protection racket crimes. Understand, in a RICO crime, each individual is guilty for each event of the organization. Wester's crimes and the cover-up involves many people. Our interview begins with a hidden camera discussion with Teresa Odom, whose traffic stop video helped expose Zachary Westr. You might recall Teresa was the lady in the small white truck, see the video link, in which Westr concealed the drugs in his left glove, moved the drugs about the vehicle until his crime of fraud was perfected, and she was charged, incarcerated, and convicted of drugs by Westr's accomplice, the prosecutor. Understand, the prosecutor's office was a partner in the crimes and took measures to avoid being entangled. The state attorney and others in Panama City, Florida, routinely partner crimes with law enforcement by tampering of evidence and records. Yet the governor of Florida fires prosecutors for not following his rules. But what about those committing crimes of malicious prosecution and tampering of public records? Watch and see what unfolds in these 100-plus interviews. The governor's office and that of Inspector General appear to be covering color of law crimes in the northern Florida districts and presumably elsewhere. It is criminal RICO facilitating. The government has gone rogue and law enforcement is operating as organized crime. Folks must realize their civil rights are gone. Links in the description below will be added to reveal associated crimes. If you do not see the links, remind me in the comments and I will post the links. Share with a friend quickly, because the retaliation by the state, law enforcement, and their associated criminal partners is anticipated. This will likely become large enough to involve the governor's office. Share with everyone you know. So, Teresa Odom. Um,
Yes, that's me.
really? Raise your right hand.
No,
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. I've seen some. I've seen some of your testimony. You actually testified very well, in the Zach Westr case. I mean, I've seen a couple of them. And
I've known you for a bit now, and I thought that you actually performed incredibly well at your traffic stop. The original traffic stop was astounding for the most part. I mean, none of those things are ever perfect, but I mean, you would have thought that you thought you were on camera. I mean, it was very nicely done. But there's a number of things that occurred at your original traffic stop where Zachary Westr planted dope on you that the prosecutor, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
The prosecutor never talked about. There's a vast array of issues that was missed, but to bring it full circle, from what I recently understand, is that the civil case for the criminal wrongdoing, he was charged and convicted of 12 years. I think they under-prosecuted. They went light on him, didn't they?
They did.
They used, soft.
Very.
They used 9 witnesses out of 267 cases were affected. 119 people, as I recall, were released from jail or charges released.
In one county.
In one county. 33 people filed a civil action against him, and it recently settled. I mean, he lost.
And let's not forget about the 13, 14, 15 in another county.
So there's other people in
Yes.
other counties. But here's the thing. They picked 9 select people and charged them. What about the other people? I mean, there's what, and I'm just throwing out a number, 9. It was about 9. They didn't bring anybody in. There's 110 people that did not get justice for the crimes he committed against them. This was a racketeering crime. It was a staged criminal action that required assistance from others. It was organized crime. I mean, wasn't it?
According to the charges, it was.
According to the charges, yeah. Well, but according to my look of your video, it looks like, to me, my opinion, watching the video is his accomplice, his partner at the stop, a dark-skinned fellow. I mean, I don't really know what descent he was, but he was darker. He stood outside the vehicle and actually looked in the window. He was the first one to spot the dope, but he did not alert even his partner. His partner was in on it. His partner was in on it. But not only that, a traffic stop alongside a road like that requires a supervisor to attend, from my understanding. The supervisor, in my opinion, walked up to the trunk of the vehicle after he had misplaced broken chain of command of the substance, went to his trunk, and the supervisor engaged him at the trunk. He was testing the dope at the trunk. And the supervisor was then fully aware that he had broken chain of command. His supervisor did not pick up on the fact that he was either committing a crime or the supervisor was party to the crime. Do you see my perspective?
I see.
That's my perspective. Now, why didn't the prosecutor bring that up, you think?
I have no idea.
I mean, the prosecutor, because of the locale in this case, they brought a prosecutor out of area. In theory, an unbiased prosecutor, but they all look dirty to me. I mean, these prosecutors are douchebags. I mean, I've got a number of problems with them that we'll go into at a later time if you want to. But anyway, I'm rattling right now. I'm so excited to get to this.
Thank you for having me.
People need to know. But here, so anyway, full circle. This thing was exposed, got nationwide exposure. But then when it all went silent, once he went away and they played it cool, looks like to me 1 month before the midterm elections and the governor election in the state of Florida, they settled this, in theory, behind closed doors. Your case broke a massive criminal scheme by law enforcement, by the state of Florida, facilitated by the state of Florida, in my opinion, from all my research, and my research is pretty good, as you'll soon see. What did you get? What was your net settlement at the end of the day?
$36,000.
Hold it. But $36,000, that's a gross number. How much, I mean...
I walked out with less than $3,000 in a check.
Less than $3,000. So 4 years of litigation, jail time, your life was ruined, You're the man that broke this case. 33 other people shared in a settlement, and your net settlement was less than $3,000.
Yes.
Wow. You realize by the time you caught up in your bill, I mean, I don't have to tell you, by the time you caught up in your bills and all, the end of the weekend, that's gone. And I don't want to get too far off into the speculative, if you understand what I'm saying, but you've been targeted.
Yes. Every day that I live and breathe, I am.
There's retaliatory measures.
Yes.
Okay, hang on. Okay, now I keep going back to this prosecutor idea. What a douchebag he must be, because you were targeted. We have evidence that you were targeted. The FDLE has evidence you were targeted. FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which is the state's FBI in a manner of speaking, they are covering up all the accomplices in this crime, in my opinion. We have proof that a tax collector in a nearby county was accessing the system and targeting people for the last 10 to 20 years, pre-targeting people for crooked law enforcement to entangle. And I happen to know that FDLE received the list of 33 names that were in your civil litigation pool, and they covered it up. They forced a settlement, from what I understand, behind closed doors, 1 month before the midterm elections, and when you guys were off the public eye, they swept this under the carpet and gave y'all a couple $1,000 walking money. Now, without getting too far into that, who oversaw that for the government, the federal case? Was that Michael J. Frank?
Michael J. Frank and a Hope Ty Cannon.
She's kind of a trainee. Now, Frank's, he's a magistrate, a federal magistrate in the federal district in this part of Florida. I kind of refer to him as a junior judge. I believe, and I have reason to demonstrate this, I can demonstrate that Michael J. Frank is involved in thousands of frauds he has partied with the same group of attorneys that were involved in this case, in the case that y'all settled. He's been involved intimately with them in burying evidence, in covering frauds such as Title 18, Section 2071 crimes, which is the disposal or concealment of government records. Michael J. Franks is a crook, in my opinion, and I can demonstrate it. The thing is, he's a crook he's party to a racketeering scheme. Now, here's the thing. He's party to, in my opinion, from what I've seen, and I can demonstrate this, a racketeering scheme of his own making to facilitate schemes for the federal judges. Michael J. Frank, he handles a lot of the pro se cases, a lot of the indigent cases, a lot of the cases of inmates filing. And so what happens is, and from what I can research this, I've got him on 40 cases that I have reviewed. Every single case I have reviewed that he was involved in, he committed a crime against the victim and or plaintiff to facilitate concealment of the government's role. Now, this is critical. We have a governor in Florida that they have bragged about the surplus in the Florida coffers from, just good management. But the good management, the surplus, is because they're not paying litigants. They're fucking crooked. There are some, and I don't know, it might be speculative. Some believe that there's elements of human trafficking, drugs, all kind of stuff involved. And as near as I can tell, the state of Florida is one of the largest human traffickers out there. They're doing things through Child Protective Services, which involves almost every one of the 33 cases. They're dirty. The state's making money because the state's dirty. And the Fed is doing business with them. I personally believe they're trafficking children. So, I mean, you know, have you ever heard of Dozier School for Boys?
I have. Was threatened to be sent there my whole
Yeah.
childhood.
Dozier School for Boys is in Marianna, which is the city where these events, the county seat of the county where westr operated from. Is that right?
Correct.
The sheriff's office now resides. It actually sits on the property of Dozier School for Boys. You know, but Dozier School for Boys is the oldest child incarceration, juvenile detention camp in the world, in North America. It's the oldest of first, famous for hidden graves, buried children, abuses that have been long since covered. Here's the thing. To my understanding, Dozier officially closed in about 2009. I believe that they were human trafficking and there were abuses through Dozier. The problem I see with closing Dozier is the supply of bodies ended, but the demand through the distribution organization, the demand for children was not taken care of.
I agree.
So I believe that many of these legal indiscretions that I've exposed hundreds. I bet you on your case alone. See, y'all don't know this. I filed about 150 legal reports with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement on those encircling the westr schemes. Westr needed partners to do what he did. Have you ever thought about that?
Yes.
Now, here's one that's critical. I think people should think about. In order for a young deputy to arrest someone in a drug-side traffic stop, he's got to have a second officer there because when they search your vehicle, someone's got to detain and watch the victim, the driver. We'll call him the driver.
Right.
Okay. In order to do a drug arrest on site, he needs a supervisor.
Right.
Okay. So from my review of every single video on the westr traffic stops, and I would like the opportunity to review some of those with or without you later, those people who attended were all party to the scheme. My understanding is Jackson County, a small rural county, had a narcotics squad, a group of narcotics officers. And my understanding is that Zach Westr single-handedly arrested more people, brought in more drugs and trafficking issues than the entire division dedicated to that. Now, here's the funny thing. Why didn't anyone ask a question? Why didn't anyone say, why is this young guy a super cop? Why aren't we studying super cop to find out what he's doing? How is he so good at what he does? And how are we so bad at what we're doing? You know, there was a stark anomaly. And I'm kind of moving in a direction here. The prosecutor in that county, the prosecutor, this county is so rural, you could actually know the prosecutor through a church affiliation, or you could meet them you could almost meet them on any given day at a coffee shop. You know, this isn't a large county where, you know, these are just people's pictures on a billboard or something. These are people you can walk right up to in a small rural county. I mean, I bet you could name 80% of the officers the sheriff officers of the last, you know, virtually everyone in your area knows the last sheriff and the last sheriff before him. And I mean, these people are all well known. It's not like, oh.
I voted both of the previous two sheriffs into office, with one exception. I walked and made a trial run because my old white truck wasn't running, and I walked because I felt as though nothing was being done to handle the drugs and things in our county. So I made a trial run walking out of the woods to see if I could vote to send Lou Roberts out the last term. So I cast my ballot against him.
Okay, but so Lou Roberts was the sheriff.
Yes, it was.
During the period of time that Zachary Westr ran his schemes.
He was.
Okay. The thing is, there's a case, Chris's case, in Chris's video stop, one of the officers actually reads a list of names. See, the prosecutor missed this. The prosecutor's crooked. The prosecutor, in my opinion, the prosecutor that prosecuted Westr was a setup. It was a scheme on the inside. He went soft on him, went light on him, so that Westr could escape. Westr went to prison, big deal. Watch this. I believe he's going to get let off. I believe that it's a scheme. It's a cover scheme. Matter of fact, just while we're on this, who was the prosecutor brought out of Escambia County to prosecute Westr? Do you remember his name?
First and foremost, there was a special...
No. Who was the prosecutor? I want you to answer the question.
Tom Williams.
Thomas
Williams.
Thomas Williams was a special prosecutor brought from the state attorney's office out of Escambia County to prosecute Westr.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now watch this. In your federal civil case, now that was a circuit case. He was charged for a crime and convicted of a crime, charged and made 12 years of 67 charges. They picked up a few anyway. But the prosecutor was Thomas Williams. But I noticed on your federal civil case, the initials for the judge was TKW. Who was TKW in your federal civil case?
Thomas Williams.
Hold it. There's two different Thomas Williams?
Not to my knowledge.
So hold it. The prosecutor who went light on Westr in his criminal case got promoted to a federal judge position, and he was the civil judge who went light on Westr and his group again. That's a conflict. The fucking judge is crooked. Guess what? Your case can likely be thrown out. The settlement's bullshit because it's all a scheme. It's all a cover-up scheme. Can you see now how I think and why I brought you? I think people need to know. Now, this is all documented. We haven't said anything that's not fully documented. So Thomas Williams was the prosecutor on the state level civil case. On the state level criminal case. Went light on him. There's 100 people that did not get justice. 100 people that did not get to speak their part, play their role, say what they needed to say. They selected 11 people, my understanding, and a few of them didn't make it. A few of them, I think, were paid off to take a fall because it was going to burn him so bad. So somehow, some of them didn't make the full distance. But then there's 100 people that didn't get to speak out. Now, that guy...
3 that have passed away since the case began.
Hold on. Now, that's out of the 33 people that filed a civil case that we know. You're saying 3 of them are dead. So...
To my knowledge.
3 out of 33 dead. Are they killing people?
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that. But people die.
Folks, we are taking great risk here to bring you some rather colorful deceptions from the hoax judicial process you depend on for your civil rights. We need some real-life superheroes to share this presentation at a high level with deep commitment. We want you to be a part of the judicial revolution coming soon. Help us to help you. Share this with the brightest people you know. This is a modern David and Goliath saga. The uncircumcised Philistines will be exposed. The federal judiciary has been weaponized to oppose the nation they serve. Widespread fraud in judicial proceedings are being used to mask a host of judicial racketeering schemes, including schemes by sitting judges committing frauds to conceal motions to impeach the judge and court officers for corruption and offenses. Frauds to suppress material evidence recur often. The lawyers of this nation operating in failure mode are undermining the destruction of this nation. Look at Congress and the Senate, full of lawyers doing what exactly? Attorneys in this country will not risk their career to expose the ongoing repetitive fraud and criminal racketeering by judges and the judiciary. My law career as an attorney, in fact, appears nearing its end. It appears I have nothing to lose. All forms of collaboration opportunities on this project will be entertained. Subscribe and share this video to receive notice and access to the uncut versions as they come available. We have many opportunities to partner and win. Thank you for your patience and participation in advance. There is something for everyone here. Pray for our success. Feel free to create short TikTok loops from this video and share with the world. Post your TikTok loop below the original video for extra traffic and subscribe to receive a special access offer. TikTok loopers, do loops with my Crooked Bastards excerpts and receive an autographed copy of my book, The Answer to Cancer, A Simple Solution for the Western Condition. Bloggers, post your opinion of this epic disaster and tag me in it, and we'll respond in kind and send you an autographed book. You twits on Twitter, share your thoughts and tag a video to stir the broader friends and followers you have. It is time to take back the nation from parasitic politicians. Feel free to demonstrate your IQ below in the comments and engage others. As we move forward dismantling things opposed to your freedom, we look forward to collaboration opportunities with well-grounded podcasters and power media players. Podcasters, I will reveal fresh, hot evidence in any and every podcast interview if you have me on your show. Also, I will facilitate your efforts to more than double your subscriber base. Fighters for justice must come together. Pray for this effort. The criminal operation being exposed is real. They pose a national and international threat through widespread systematic abuses of civil and human rights. A massive human trafficking effort underlies this enterprise. If you have the ability to notify the FBI or the DOJ, Department of Justice, please do so. There's a massive cover-up at the Florida governor's office, it seems. This type of color of law scheme in federal judiciary and related entities is a kind of government corruption harming our nation. The citizens have no means to correct it, and the attorneys are complicit with the schemes because they will not risk their career to save an individual case. Massive failures in the fiduciaries and oaths of office exist. Corruption in law enforcement is rampant with no oversight. At the time of launch, this effort is largely founded and funded by book sales. About the time the federal, state, and local government were revealed as unlawfully targeting and drastically violating my human and civil rights, I was launching a series of self-help books, including this one, CO2 and You, A Release from All Sickness. Thereafter, the governments of the world implemented a system to make you wear things to cover your face, which can lead to CO2 accumulation in your breathe there, thus initiating a series of health issues leading to a host of issues explored in this book. Get the Fix, presently on Amazon. CO2 and You, A Release from All Sickness by Ted Whidden and Doc Mathia. Link to the purchase is in the description. Watch and pray about retaliation. High-level corruption in law enforcement is protected through retaliation, framing, extortion, and a host of crimes by law enforcement against citizens as acts of intimidation. Further, those who push unconstitutional concept of proactive patrolling encourages law enforcement to violate your civil rights on the hunch of poorly trained law enforcement. It masks corrupt behavior as a scheme. This is government racketeering. The westr crimes are examples of what can occur through proactive policing. The governor and anyone pushing this agenda appear at war and in violation of the United States Constitution. Corruption at the federal judge level already impedes your civil rights, yet you will not become aware until you need them, and it will be too late. Share this with your favorite attorney. Advise them by joining our efforts they could win. However, remind them that all who oppose me are in fact facilitating a $16 billion RICO, which each individual facilitator is responsible for in full. Watch the drama unfold as we move forward towards launching, towards launching an attorney referral system to address your civil rights issue. We are currently seeking rap music artists and animators or cartoonists for collaborative projects soon to be released. Subscribe and get ready for the rollout. Share this around the world before it can be taken down. If you post this to your social media, then place the link in the comments under the original video. We will reach out to you. Keep in mind, Mr. Whidden is not an attorney. Mr. Whidden is honest, and that may preclude the ability for him to practice law. Whidden has explored legal misdirection and corruption in federal, state, and local judiciary and law enforcement. It is seen as his obligation under USC Title 18, Section 4, misprision of felony statutes to notify officials and to warn others. This method of notice is being tested because every lawful attempt to report has been met by officials who were and are corrupt in facilitating racketeering crimes of others. Mr. Whidden's mental faculties have been questioned by the state in their attempt to obscure their crimes. The federal government is complicit. See the link below. Publicly filed documents and notices have been obscured repetitively by Magistrate Michael J. Frank, Judge Margaret Casey Rogers, Clerk Jeremy Wright, Florida State's Attorney's Office, and others. See link below. Further to this, sheriffs in the region and other corrupt law enforcement began and continue targeting Whidden for pushing back against the color of law crimes against American citizens. See links below. It is with assurance crimes are widespread and patternistic. If Michael J. Franks is involved, it appears from my perspective there's a crime afoot. See link to impeachment below. Keep in mind, even lawful actions to further interrupt, obstruct, or conceal a person's First Amendment rights to expose a RICO or racketeering crime can result in charges for the RICO or racketeering crime. They're all complicit. There are links under our originally posted video that should serve you well. The best is yet to come.